All right, we're on the 250. This is going to be a short one, very short one. It's the shortest study area on the AP test. We're going to start out with Pacific, and this is the non-Moldol in Micronesia. The megalithic city lies on the eastern shore of the island in Micronesia, and it was used for ritual and ceremonial center for the ruling chiefs of a particular dynasty. Consisting of a series of artificial inlets, small islands linked by a network of canals, it's often called the Venice of the Pacific. The islets are constructed by placing large rocks filled atop submerged coral reefs to form raised platforms, which supported elaborate residential and ceremony complexes. The complexes were built primarily from bauxite, a volcanic rock that breaks naturally to form massive rod-like blocks. It encompasses more than 90 islets, and its peak, it was the home to 1,000 people. Okay, so here's an upward view of it, which is quite nice. Okay, these are the very famous Easter Island sculptures. It's famous for its stone statues of human figures, known as statues. The island is known to its inhabitants as Rapa Nu. They were probably created in the second half of the 17th century. Over a few hundred years, the inhabitants of this remote island quarried, carved, and erected 887 of these sculptures. The size and complexity of them increased over time, and is believed that the dates somehow dates to around, I believe that, something, okay, never mind. It is one of only 14 made of bauxite. And this is the one that probably comes from 1200 CE. Around 1500 CE, the practice of constructing them peaked, and from around 1600 CE, statues began to be toppled sporadically. The island's fragile ecosystem had been pushed beyond what was sustainable. Over time, only seabirds remained, nesting on safer offshore rocks and islands. The sculptures bear witness to the loss of confidence of the efficiency of the ancestors after the deforestation and ecological collapse. Although there is some new scholarship that I was just reading about that talks about actually there's more eco-nurturing than was believed. They always kind of blame it on the imploding of the environment, but there's some new a new book out just out last week that's talking about individual clans contributed to the creation of the sculptures. Okay, this is a feather cape from Hawaii. The Hawaiian male nobility wore feather cloaks and capes for the ceremonies and battles. Such cloaks and capes were called the red garments. Across Polynesia, the color red was associated with both gods and chiefs. In the Hawaiian Islands, where are we at? Yeah, and here we are. Such cloaks and capes were red garments. Okay. In the Hawaiian Islands, however, yellow feathers became equally valuable due to their scarcity. They consisted of fiber netting made in straight rows, with pieces joined and cut to form the desired shapes. Tiny bundles of feathers were attached to the netting in overlapping rolls, starting at the lower edge. The exterior of this example is covered with red feathers and yellow feathers, and feathers also from a blackbird. The small cape has a shaped neckline which would closely fit the wearer. This style, semicircular cape, is considered a later development shape. Large numbers of feathered cloaks and capes were given as gifts to the sea captains and their crews. Some of the attractive items would then have been passed into hands of wealthy patrons and brought to England. Okay, here's another cape from Hawaii, I believe. And then this is a staff god. I've never really kind of understood this one, to be honest. The Cook Islands are situated in the middle of the South Pacific. The wood carvers of the island, one of Cook Islands, have a distinctive style. The Cook Islands were settled in the period 800 to 1000 CE. Captain Cook made the first official European sighting of the islands. Representations of deity worshipped by Cook Islanders before their conversion to Christianity included wooden images in human form, slab carvings and staffs such as this, known as God sticks. They varied in size from about 73 centimeters to nearly 4 centimeters, like this rare example. It's made of iron wood wrapped with a length of bark cloth. The end is carved. Some missionaries removed and destroyed some of the carvings. Reverend Williams observed that the image that the bark cloth contained red feathers and pieces of pearl shell, known to them as the Manava, or Spirit of God. Little is known of the function of the identity of these images. The ethnologist Roger Duff speculated they represented the creator God, but without evidence, which is clear that the materials they combined the results of skilled labor and men and women. They also have an explicit sexual aspect with the embodiment of male and female reproduction and reproductive qualities. Okay, this is a female deity. It's a wooden sculpture. The first Europeans to collect these sculptures found them coarse and clumsy. It is also known that when the breadfruit tree images were carved with local equipment or with Western metal blade tools, the surfaces were smoothed with pumice, which was abundantly available on the beach. All the sculptures range in size from 30 centimeters to 217 centimeters and have similar proportions. Head tapering slightly at the chin and the neck. The eyes and nose are either discreetly shown as slits, the shoulders slope down, and the chest is indicated by a small line. Some female figures have rudimentary breasts. Some of the sculptures, be they male, female, or intermediate, have sketchy indications of hands and feet. Local deities resided in animals or were represented in stones. Each of the figurines bore the name of the specific male or female deity. They were placed in temples and decorated with loom woven bands, floor mats, feathers, paints, and headdresses. They occupied a central place in an important religious ceremony that took place during the month of one of the months when they are visible in the west as dusk. The rituals mark the beginning of the harvesting of 2 types of taro, breadfruit, arrowroot, banana, sugarcane, so on and so forth. I think that's good. Okay, I don't know much about this one, and there was really not much information when I trained on this on these objects in Miami. I'll just give you the basics. It's a turtle shell mask with bird feathers, and it's part of a masquerade as a hero. So it's mid to late 19th century. Okay, so the cloth made of bark is generically known as tapa across Polynesia. Although terminology, decoration, dyes, and designs vary throughout the islands. Generally, to make bark cloth, a woman harvests the inner bark of paper mulberry trees. The inner bark is then pounded flat with a wooden beater and an anvil, usually made of wood. In eastern Polynesia, bark cloth was created with a felting technique, and designs were pounded into the cloth with carved beater. In Samoa, designs were sometimes stained or rubbed on this wooden or fiber designed tablets. The most important traditional use of them was for clothing, bedding, and wall hangings. Textiles were often specially prepared and decorated for people of rank. Tapa was ceremonially displayed on special occasions such as birthdays and weddings. In sacred contexts, tapa was used to wrap images of deities. I think that's good. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, I had to go back. This is one of the people. One of the people of the islands in the Pacific. Okay, this is one of the most fascinating objects that I was not aware of before the 250 was created in 2016. So it is a navigation chart, and it's from the Marshall Islands, and it's so here we go. The islands developed a reputation for navigation between the islands, not a simple matter, since they were all so slow that none can be seen from more than a few miles away. In order to determine a system of piloting and navigation of the islanders, devised charts that marked not only the location of the islands, but their knowledge of the swell and wave patterns as well. The charts were composed of wooden sticks. The horizontal and vertical sticks act as supports, while diagonal and curved ones represent wave swells. Cowrie or small shells represent the position of the islands. The information was memorized, and the charts would not be carried on voyages. The chart that you're looking at now covers either a large section of all the Marshall Islands, or a large section, or specifically the Marshall Islands. Other types of charts will more commonly show a smaller area, were collected by an admiral. The chart is a type known as Matang, specifically made for the purpose of training people selected to be navigators. Such charts depict general information about swell movements around one or more small islands. Trainees were taught to be experienced navigators. Okay, here we go. This is a Malagan display and mask. The figure was made for a cycle of rituals of the people of the northwest coast of New Ireland. An island in Papua New Guinea was a complex religious and philosophical ideas. They are principally concerned with honoring and dismissing the dead. They are, were made to be used as single occasion and then destroyed. That's interesting. They are symbolic in many important subjects, including identity, kinship, gender, death, and the spirit world. They often include representations of fish and birds of identifiable species, alluding to specific myths. Okay. The masks are commonly used at funeral rites, which both bids farewell to the dead and celebrates the vibrancy of the living. The mask can represent a number of things: dead ancestors, spirit, or various bush spirits associated with the area. Okay, I think that's good. Oh, that's beautiful. I forgot I had that slide in there. Okay, so this is our last one, and this is about presentation of Fajon mats and tapa cloths to Queen Elizabeth II. So I don't really want to get into the whole Queen Elizabeth thing because I think it represents colonialism. So I'm just gonna talk about the actual indigenous object. Several of the processing women were wearing skirts made of bark cloth, painted with geometric patterns. Bark cloth, or Masai, as it was referred to in Fiji, is made of stripping the inner bark of the mulberry tree, soaking the bark, then beating it into strips of cloth that are glued together, often by a paste made by arrowroot. Bold and intricate geometric patterns in red, white, and black are often painted. Painted in red, white, and black. The practice of making them continues in Fiji, where the cloth is often represented as gifts in important ceremonies, such as weddings and funerals, or to commemorate significant events. I think that's all we need to talk about there. Yeah. Okay, yeah. All right. There we go.